I was recently talking with a guy friend. He was giving me the postmortem on his last relationship. Anger management is a thing he's very open about struggling with, and he knows that the way he expressed his anger around his partner caused a big rift in their relationship. He felt that it was wrong that he was asked to show up as his emotionally authentic self, but not with the one emotion that he considers to be part of his core experience. What I expressed to him was that while emotional intimacy is something that we should practice in our relationships, men and women also have a responsibility to self-regulate how those emotions are expressed, especially anger. I could tell that the way that he received my pushback on this was like I was another woman telling him that he needs to change himself to be accepted. If anger is a distinct part of men's emotional experience, should women be expected to hold space for that anger, and to what extent?
It's not a woman's place to facilitate all of your anger and like your rage in a man's rage, because that's not safe. That is not safe advice. But I think also one thing missing from a lot of men's lives is a certain level of compassion. Compassion instead of like, well, nigga, you just got to suck that shit up, because it's the same sort of programming that men already get. Well, no one cares about me. What do? That makes me even angrier. Yeah. I don't feel seen.
I'm very much let me take a step back. Let me take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1 type nigga before I engage like my significant other in anger. And that's been something that like has worked relatively well for me, but like as much as your situation, you know, and your resources like allow, I'd say therapy is the way to go when anger is such an intense part of your emotional experience.
It's a red flag.
The flamboyantly gay Liam Neeson. The name of that movie should be The Picture.
That's good. That's good. Is it a double entendre? Is he also like his hidden identity before he's activated is like a little league coach or some shit like that? Before like, you know, the people from the Gay Assassins League come back and pull him out of retirement to pitch one last time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and get into the episode. We got some good topics today. So fuck it. Welcome everybody to Waving the Red Flag, the #1 dating and queer film development team podcast in the universe. It's your boy Eddie. It's Josh. It's AD. Let's start the show. Down, down, down.
down, down.
Just trying to do the math of like that Wilt Chamberlain body count number. So like, you know, the famous like quote that he had, you know, 20,000 bodies by the time he was like 55 or some shit like that, right? Does that seem?
I mean, a person of his stature, I could see that, but that's a lot of time. And how do you even count all of those bodies? Like, are you actually keeping track of each and every single person? That's
what I'm like. Even to come to that conclusion that you've had, that is like, I mean, where are you even getting that number from? And then what counts as a body in this instance? Because I'm like we did the math. If he started at like 16 and was active all the way up to 55, which I would, you know, you could definitely be, assuming he was active that whole period. That's like a person and a half per day. That's a lot.
I can see that.
Really? A new person?
I mean, okay, so think about it. Okay, if you are a world famous Hall of Famer, NBA legend,
sure,
in his prime,
well,
big black
for
man,
part of that, okay, yeah,
he could be counting orgies.
Well, no, definitely you have to have orgies in there. There's logistically, even if you had enough women that wanted to fuck you like that, it would require like an administration team to be able to have a new woman every single day without some serious coordination.
When you break it down like that, that's some sick shit. Because 20,000 women hopped on one man's dick. And you know how many of those women was in a relationship?
Probably all of them.
Probably married.
Yeah, every single one.
I didn't say all of them.
I'm going to say every single one. It's not safe out here, Kings.
Yeah, be safe, man.
That's folks' mama and them.
Oh, yeah.
Niggas knew your mama.
NDAs,
you know what I'm saying?
Everything. Would you be mad?
Shout out Sling.
If he was back in the day, like, would you be mad if
you fucked my mother?
Your wife hooked up with like
Wilt
Chamberlain was like some celebrity?
Yeah, obviously.
Girly.
Yeah, absolutely. Gee, are there people who wouldn't? I mean, maybe Alvin wouldn't, but I definitely, of course. What do we mean?
I don't know at what point you thought I was cool with just like,
we're not cool. No.
Just fucking fuck, you know, whoever it is, women like these days. I don't know who they like, Morgan Freeman or what the fuck ever.
What? Wait, are we? Is this in the past? Is that why you said that?
No, it's a Family Guy bit actually.
Ah, I see. Got you. I knew it must be a reason. Okay,
you weren't tracking to the meta on that one.
No, I'm not cool enough to know all of the Family Guy references, honestly, so I missed that one. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, maybe not cool, but I don't know.
Is there any celebrity man that you would be cool with your hypothetical girl or wife, like cheating on you? But you're like, okay, I can understand that. I didn't
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
not cool.
chance.
I'm
Like
not
you
cool
didn't
with-
have a chance.
No,
I'm not cool with cheating on any level.
no. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
just-
but okay.
That's low key
of course,
worse.
Okay.
That's low key worse. Like hall passes to me make less sense than just being in an open relationship. Because with a celebrity, you're basically saying like, I'm willing to engage with the fact that there is somebody that you find vastly more attractive to me, and the only thing keeping you from being with them is their lack of desire for you. That's way wilder of a concept. Because it's like when people say, "Oh, my hall passes Michael B. Jordan or Brad Pitt or Lakeith Stanfield or whatever." It's like, you really think your girl don't want to be with, like, you think specifically your girl wants to hit it and quit it? Is that what you think is going on? Because that's not what's going on. So,
True.
I mean, I wouldn't say all. Some women
Most.
might just. Some women.
mean-
no, because by and large, like my brother AB say,
Mm.
women want to be having more sex too. They don't give a fuck about the relationship or the feelings and whatnot. They just want to fuck. Because all horny girls want to fuck.
yeah.
So,
am I
I
not-
do-
I
think that's
I never agree with that.
I think that that's irrespective to the point. So just because they like to be having more
It's
sex doesn't mean that they
irrespective,
wouldn't rather be having their more sex with somebody that they deem more attractive than you, if they had access. But my whole point with that is that I would even be opposed to it if, say, like they wanted to like do it with, say, like fucking Danny DeVito as like a fucking goof or some shit. Like, oh,
I'm more with that.
he's fucking 4'2" and like
You know
kooky.
what?
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
I would be against
let
it
that
even in
slide.
that state. Like I don't have that same bar.
So why?
Because I don't condone cheating. Like I said, just because I don't think it's fatal, that doesn't mean I don't think it's bad.
No, yeah, but my question is, because I know why I don't want to get cheated on, and I think I know why Josh doesn't want to get cheated on. But as I've gotten to know you, I'm more and more unsure about why you wouldn't want that. Like why? Like you say you don't condone it, but that's quite distant language from like you specifically getting cheated on. Like why do you care if it's Danny DeVito
I mean,
or anybody?
So yeah, that literally was my point. I just want to make
Yeah,
that
yeah,
clear.
yeah.
My point
Yeah,
in
yeah,
saying
for
like
sure.
I don't care if it's Michael
Any
B.
person,
Jordan or
yeah.
Danny DeVito, because you made it about like Michael B.
understood,
Jordan, and I'm saying
understood.
and I'm saying I don't care, and I'm saying like we've made an agreement not to cheat if we're in an active relationship. Well, like why would I be okay with that? I think that somehow like we've confused the fact that like I have a logical sequence of things with the fact that I'm completely divorced from like the modern sense of morality as I've been socialized and brought up in, and like that couldn't be further from the truth, which is why like I don't think murder's right. Like I couldn't intellectualize murder. Like I've been brought up in a society that says that's wrong, so therefore I think that it is wrong.
But that's not why I think murder is wrong. Like
Which is fine. Like I think that ultimately, like if we peel the layers back, it's going to be some layer of like your socialized level of morality, because morality is always socialized.
sure, but like the emotional experience is totally different. Like it's not just I don't want you to cheat on me because in our culture that's the normal thing. Like that's nobody's, like that's part of it. Like we're social, but it's like there's an emotional experience to
Your
cheating.
emotional experience is socialized. Your emotional
Yeah, no,
experience
yeah.
is socialized.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying, but it's not an intellectual. Yo, I'm socialized. Therefore, the thing that we're engaging with is the emotions is the spear tip of the experience that people have when it comes to anything, cheating in particular. It's not like that's the first thing, and all of the reasons for it come after that. It hurts. That's why.
Yeah,
It hurts.
I'm not.
That's why
I'm
people
not
don't.
approaching it from an emotional standpoint. I'm approaching it from a moral standpoint.
Okay.
Like
right.
if we're having
No,
a
I
conversation
understood that.
about
That's why.
emotion-
That's the point that I'm
emotion,
making.
then that's not what I'm coming at. And I think I've explained that it's a moral stance and not an emotional one.
Which is
No,
still
I think I
why-
understood all of that. But that's
Yeah.
all included in everything that I've said up to this point, which is that
Yeah.
it's a little bit difficult to wrap my head, because almost no one else does it that way. Like you're saying that like it's the norm, but I'm saying no, it's definitely different than how everybody else views that.
I think that it's a lot more than what you think. For example, the whole aspect of like a lot of people's Christian like followings with marriage, right, are very much that it's my ideology to grin and bear it throughout that, despite the fact that he or her might be cheating, and the emotional experience is 100% based in ideology, which is a moral judgment and not an emotional one. So I think that we're at one of those points where we're both discounting exactly how common our individual perspectives are, because I can 100% point you to all kinds of Christian manifesto shit that is basically just ideology and not emotional.
That specific example is not this example. I agree that people make ideological decisions for some shit, but not on this one, I don't think.
Including cheating. So including forgiving cheating, right?
No, forgiving cheating is different. We're talking about not wanting
not wanting your partner to cheat, right? Like that's literally like a Christian ideological thing that a lot of people like base,
but they don't
their
emotionally
Christian
mind
ideology and not their emotional stance. Yeah.
Okay.
That 100%.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's everybody, but it's 100% common enough for me to mention it and me to see it like quite frequently. Like majority, no. 20-30% of people, probably.
You would have no emotions whatsoever around your girl cheating on you. It's just like the moral fact of it. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm like on. Like you would have no emotions on that at all.
So that wasn't the question. The question was why I'm opposed to cheating in a hypothetical situation. I don't know what would happen in an emotional situation where that was happening, because that's never happened to me.
Okay. We better not find out either, goddammit.
But can you imagine? Because I mean,
the economy would stop.
That is the question. Like that's 100%.
No, it wasn't.
The
question was why I'm opposed to cheating.
We're the ones asking the question. It's not like we're the ones.
And that was the question you had.
Yeah.
I know, and that was the question.
Let's not get all wheezy. Let's not get all wheezy.
Okay.
So, but just
I know because like we can 100% roll the tape back. We can 100% roll the tape back. Now we can have a different conversation because I think it's fine.
When I say that is the question, I'm not saying hey that's what I asked. I'm saying that's what I meant. Yeah. And we went to like a weird circle of going all around, and I'm saying the core of what we're talking about is emotion. And I feel like we run into these kind of issues, like when we have these kinds of conversations where like I or Josh are asking a question about emotion, and you like talk about the logistics
answer the
around
question
it.
that was asked. No, I answered the question that was asked. I can answer the question. I can answer the question that you've asked now, and that's 100% fine.
That's what the clarification is.
That's the clarification. I don't know. It's never happened. Like I answered the question that was asked.
No, that's fine. I'm saying oftentimes when a person asks a question like this, you kind of have to try and get it, like what the core of what they're talking about is, and so that's what I'm getting at. But yeah, I made a clarification.
Which is fair.
But
I think that's one of those things that has to.
Instead of getting sort of like trapped in like, oh, but technically this is what you're. It's like that's missing the trees for the forest. That's not really attempting to understand what's being asked.
Which is fair in certain situations, because like what I don't like in this particular conversation and in those conversations, and I'll be very clear on this, is that we act like I'm dodging something, or we act like I'm like doing this technical thing around it when I'm just answering what was asked. So if we have the conversation and you say like, oh, well, I mean this, and like we can do that, like I'm completely fine with that. What I don't like is this whole situation where it's like we're pretending like you asked something explicitly and I didn't answer it, because that's not what happened. And I think when you do your editing, that'll be very clear. So like you meaning something different, cool, I understand it. That's conversation and it flows, that's how it flows. Got it, cool. I'll answer the question when it's asked, and it can come out in conversation. But like that wasn't what was asked. Now, if the question is, do I have an emotional response to cheating? I don't know. Never been cheated on. Can't imagine it. Cool.
Can't imagine it. Okay, yeah. What you smiling behind the mic at Josh? What's up?
Y'all niggas is funny, bro. All right. Y'all niggas is hilarious. Well, I hope you never will have to imagine it, because it's not fun. Okay, let's get into a fun one.
Yeah.
The public perception of male sex toys.
Worst human invention ever made.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but the light.
Wait, why is that the worst invention ever made?
It kind of teaches men that like women are just lights, and like when men use lights too much, it like kind of ruins their perception of women and like the touch of a woman. So like, I think it's might be the worst invention ever made.
Do you not believe in like women using stuff too?
No, I mean they can.
I think based on that video, that's some straight up bullshit. But at the same time, that was just like another woman just kind of like shitting on men and like placing her projecting on all men's pleasure in such a negative, disdainful way that she wouldn't allow any space for a man to have any sex toys. But it's okay for women to have as many sex toys as they want to and just do whatever they want. But being a man and playing around with the idea of getting sex toys, I very much feel like, that might be kind of weird. Like if somebody came over and then like seen I had like, the Gok 3000 tucked away in the corner, because that shit probably gonna be big, it's gonna be motorized, it's gonna make noise, like that might be kind of weird.
Damn, Joshua, how much you trying to drop on this, man? Like you've been going into the premium
diesel
section of
power.
it, ain't you?
I got the one with the gearbox on it.
Yeah.
Going in overdrive.
Gear Segundo.
I tend to agree with old girl said, kind of. Like, I mean, the way it was edited, it seemed like some wild-ass double standard shit. And there is...
wild-ass double standard shit.
Okay, let me not say I agree. Let me just say I kind of... Because nigga sex toys be a little bit different. Because we be selling whole, like butts, like buttholes with vaginas and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Blow-up dolls and shit like that. Like, I think if it's just a fleshlight, okay... But
they got the same shit for women, bro.
I don't disagree.
Dicks
no, I know.
And
they do.
Butthole. Like,
no, they do. They do.
You can't.
But like,
so that argument is
okay. But are they as common? Is the energy around them the same? They're more common.
Because it's the difference between how
that's
it's
the double
between
standard.
men and women.
Yeah, that's the double standard.
No. I mean perceived by the user. That's what I'm talking about.
I would imagine there's more shame for a man to have that than a woman to have that.
The user, man, that's the opposite of what I'm asking about.
What do you mean by the user?
Meaning, like, how does the male putting his dick in the sex doll feel about the thing that it's representing versus women? I'm not saying it's different. It might not be. But, like, I have a little suspicion that it might be a little bit different. You know what I'm saying?
I got a feeling that there's still a bit more shame around that for the male user.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So I mean, like, are you saying, or do you think that like the male that's putting his dick inside of this plastic doll,
I see.
Just say, you plastic bitch, you fucking inanimate object, this is how I think our women, now you take it. I'm digging it out in a safe space. Is that where you're going with it?
Yes, but not exactly that. And now I think I maybe might have misunderstood something that you said. So when you say shame, you think that the man feels a lot of shame within himself.
Even just having sex toys, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just having sex toys,
true.
like, yeah.
Look, I don't know. That's true, but what you just like that little mime that you just did, maybe, yeah. I think there's a little bit of that. Like like with porn and stuff like that. It's like you're not necessarily thinking like, oh, this is a full like people have very distanced, views of the people that they even watch in porn and shit like that.
Compartmentalization of it all, yeah.
What's that mean? From
compartmentalization,
South Park?
the fact that you can, the fact that you can have an aspect of your mind that's divorced from the reality of the situation, yeah.
Definitely.
Compartmentalization. That's our Sesame Street word of the day.
Yeah, because I was like, yo, what is compartmentalization? I was like,
that's probably also a thing.
The way you said it, I was like, oh, that definitely sounds like it means something. You know what I'm saying?
I've also made a Family Guy reference.
Watching the porn, being like, I already missed one, so I was like, it makes sense that the South Park one would come.
You're on edge, yeah.
I am. I mean, like, I feel like you can feel shame about a thing, and you can feel like super horny towards a person, but still view them in a way that's like super distanced or overset. Like just that kind of thing. I'm not saying that both can't be true, but like, does what I'm saying just sound completely like off, or I don't know. I don't see women as much viewing as much as viewing dudes as just dicks. I think not at all, but just different energy.
I don't know, bro, because if we would have, I see on a high level, I see what you're saying. I see where you're coming from on a high level. In this particular conversation, when it's around sex toys, a lot of the times, because it's not even like women aren't just masturbating with dildos or dicks. Like they got whole fucking vibrators and a range of other stuff that's not phallic shaped. You know what I'm saying? It's just vibrating. Yeah. So what's the difference between like them, like whatever way they get off, yeah, they might be thinking about it. Nah, fuck it. I think it might be more similar than it is different, and we might give them credit for it. But like, what is different? It just gets magnified so much. And then, of course, I mean, hey, I've never one to shy away from like how shitty men have been towards women, and then how shitty men can be with women's sexuality, with their bodies when they are having sex, like not even focus on their pleasure. But when it comes to like sex toys, as far as like that whole perception and the desire around that and trying to get off, I think we might be a little bit more similar than we are different.
Yeah, I think I think I agree with that, and I think it's coming across like I disagree with you more. Like you maybe think I disagree with you more than I actually do. Like I think that male sex toys should be highly normalized. Like I disagree with her general take, but my point was just more that I think the way men view sex, porn, sex toys, sex dolls, and shit like that is a different kind of dehumanizing energy than because, like you said, like. A lot of women's sex toys ain't even humanly related to a nigga. You know what I'm saying? When you think about the rose or the vibrator, that don't even have anything to do with anything that resembles a man. Whereas I feel like a lot of male sex toys are a little bit more not necessarily. But yeah, we should normalize that shit. I'm with that. 100%.
I would imagine, because I think that it's kind of come across that like men have like a sex toy thing that's more in the range of human than like a butt or like a vagina, like mold or some shit like that. Like I would imagine that like fleshlights, just like basic fleshlights, are probably like much more highly selling than like the shit that gets publicized, like blow up dolls and all that kind of stuff, which is I think very much akin to say like a rose toy. Just to give an example of like that particular phenomenon of them being more similar than different. Like it's probably just like a lot of men buying like something akin to a basic fleshlight.
But a lot of the fleshlights have a little vulva on the outside, like a molded one.
Yeah, or even like a mouth. I've seen those on like the internet.
Buttholes, vampire. They got vampire mouths, so just all kind of crazy.
They got a butthole fleshlight.
They do.
Wow, man, I don't see. I could never see myself like having like any sort of doll or like a mold or like a torso or whatever, because I'd be like, man, I am down fucking bad if it's come to this point. I might as well just start paying for pussy if it's gotten this damn bad, yo.
I feel like pussy is a lot more expensive than silicone.
But that feeling of shame,
especially over time, man. Especially over time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to think about like the recurring.
Fleshlight's a good investment. Yeah. Overhead costs.
Yeah, the fleshlight, I can see that. Because it's still one. And I can, because you sent me like an Instagram post of that shit. Like, yo, the game might be over. And was, because that shit
be
was
spinning and shit
crazy.
Yeah,
that shit. I was like, yo, nigga, we might have one with this one.
The last orgasm you ever have, yeah.
My dick ain't never felt nothing like this before, god.
Jesus Christ, I lost weight off that nut. Oh my god, that shit looks intense as hell.
I could kind of see something like that, but still, it's like, man, I got this whole machine treating my dick. I don't know how to feel.
I totally agree, even though I tend to get on the contrary, picking the one thing, but like, totally agree. The shame around these sex toys should not exist in the way that it does, and it's totally unnecessary. Because I feel like we got to normalize like male sensuality. You know what I'm saying? Like it shouldn't be that because women's sex toys be like empowering. Like it's like I've seen influencers where like they've got like a nice little like highly designed beige like little vibrator and it's just like on their nightstand in the background and it's like that's just this is just self-care. You know what I'm saying? I've got my little bong, I've got my like incense, and I've got my little goddamn bullet train on my on the nightstand. But a nigga can't just have
charger.
Yeah, because I have some. I'm not gonna mention that because it's $1 million idea. But I just feel like that we should have. I just.
Oh shit! I want to hear it
now. So I'll tell you off air. But I'm just saying, I feel like we should be able to be like, yeah, this is my fleshlight. It's like it's nice. It's a bit of self-care. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful way that I take care of myself. I feel like that should definitely be part of the game. Should definitely be part of the game. All right, you want to do this little Patreon question?
Yeah.
I feel like this has got some meat on it. All right, so I've tried to shorten it down. Let's see. So the
This nigga said
general.
girth. I'm sorry. I'm not mature.
That's okay.
Where to
It's the
catch it?
it's the compartmentalization of the situation, but that's all right. The main like topic is just how can women give space for men's emotions, and how what does that look like when those emotions are triggering or scary. So patron says, "Hey y'all, I have a not so quick question about men and anger, and would appreciate your thoughts. I was recently talking with a guy friend. He was giving me the postmortem on his last relationship. There was a lot to it, and I could empathize with much of the hurt that he was going through. But there was one part of our conversation that I found challenging. Anger management is a thing he's very open about struggling with, and he knows that the way he expressed his anger around his partner, female, caused a big rift in their relationship. The frustration he expressed to me was that he felt that there was an expectation from his partner to be emotionally open and vulnerable. But when he became angry, sometimes about something in the relationship, sometimes about something outside of it, or had an outburst, she'd shut down and would distance herself from him. He felt that it was wrong that he was asked to show up as his emotionally authentic self, but not with the one emotion that he considers to be part of his core experience. So essentially what I expressed to him was that while emotional intimacy is something that we should practice in our relationships, men and women also have a responsibility to self-regulate how those emotions are expressed, especially anger. Because unfortunately, I think that particular emotion is a real tinderbox for many people who have previous trauma from having anger taken out on them by parents, friends, or romantic partners. I could tell that the way that he received my pushback on this was like I was another woman telling him that he needs to change himself to be accepted. And I think this runs parallels to conversations y'all have had around the way women say that they want vulnerability, but then drop the ball when men actually do express themselves. But it also intersects with the is yelling abuse topic that y'all went over. So my questions are, first, do you think that men's experience of anger is distinct from women's? And if true, whether that's biological or gender conditioning or whatever, if anger is a distinct part of men's emotional experience, should women be expected to hold space for that anger? And to what extent? Is there a healthier way to vent and express that rather than explode? And what do y'all think women fail to understand about men's experience of anger? And lastly, what do y'all think it would look like for women to support men in being emotionally rich human beings?
That's a doozy. That's a doozy. Great fucking questions. Okay, so do we think men's experience with anger is distinct from women's? I'm going to say anger as anger as just the emotion, no, because everyone does feel anger. But I think when it comes to men, anger is so much more accepted or expected, and we're oftentimes like kind of boxed in, like societally boxed into just experiencing like a range of a couple of different emotions that are acceptable to be expressed. You know, whether that be through sports, in the home sometimes, or like when you're trying to do something like and you're frustrated, like, oh, why the fuck can I do this? Like, oh yeah, that's good. Get angry, goddammit, do something about it. Change your circumstances. You know what I mean? So I
Highly
think
rewarded, yeah.
yes, it's rewarded, and it can be channeled into something, or it's used to be channeled into something more positive. So I think in that day-to-day life-to-life experience, the experience with anger, or maybe not experience, but the societal expectation of dealing with anger is distinct from women.
I don't disagree at all.
Yeah.
I don't disagree at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I don't think I have any disagreement there. I don't know. I think it's conditioned. I don't know actually, because then there's a whole like
Why?
testosterone being related to aggression. I think that is a fact or something like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like
That
between
that
both
is
of
a
those,
thing.
yeah.
And I kind of wanted to. I wish I had looked before, because I often talk about science and study, so I don't want speaking on the biological stuff to be misrepresented here. But you're right that testosterone is linked to aggression and that behavior. But I'm also thinking about studies of like the brain potentially, and I'm thinking that the amygdala response to like stimuli that makes you angry is the same, like neurologically, I think. So that lends me more towards it not being too much of a biological difference, despite that fact about testosterone, and more towards being almost basically lockstep with what Josh is saying.
Pure conditioning.
But all
Well,
of
I
that is like
believe-
speculation at this point.
I believe there's something to that though, like testosterone, because like I don't disregard biology and like the role that biology plays on us either. It's not the end all be all, but there's something to that there. Testosterone has is linked to more
Yeah,
aggression.
if I had
Roid
to guess,
rage is-
yeah.
Yeah,
Roid rage definitely. I feel like that aggression ain't coming from nowhere. It's not. Yeah.
yeah, but it's also one of those things where it's like, you know, women also have testosterone, so there's like
Of
a
course.
testosterone.
Yeah, they got less.
There's a general testosterone imbalance, right?
We have nipples,
generally,
you know
like
what I'm
on
saying?
average, right? But it's also
Yeah.
like a spectrum on that within males, right? So it's like, am I gonna be less angry when I'm 40 and my testosterone falls off a cliff? You know what I mean? So it's like that in and
Aren't
of
we?
itself isn't even.
Niggas
I
do
doubt
calm
I-
down.
That's.
I don't know,
every
man.
every
I don't
old
know.
nigga I've seen, it seems like, you know, then he was like on the calm side. No, but it also, because you
That's what I'm-
accumulate
it's-
shit to be mad about as you age.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
what I'm
kind of like
saying.
it can
The-
even out,
the
or it can go
angry- the
down, or
angry-
it depends.
Yeah, the angry,
Yeah.
cantankerous old man. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it's more along the lines of like the conditioning based on societal like situations than just testosterone.
But a cantankerous ain't dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but
like
I-
a
but I
cantankerous
also
old
think
man
that-
is like, oh, he's a cantankerous old man. But like an angry ass 30-year-old nigga is a
I think-
that's a problem.
no, I think-
that's, you know,
I think
windshield's
that's
getting
different too.
busted out.
I think that's a decoupled thing, right? So I think that
Okay.
you can be angry, and I think that's ultimately the main point that I would make in response to the question is that like you can be angry and you need to learn how to express your anger, similar to the posters, you know, the poser of the questions, like advice. Like you can be angry and you need to learn how to express your anger in a way that's not violent and crazy. And I think that like maybe over time, like a lot of older men learn how to just like say I'm angry, or they physically become less likely to like break shit. But like this whole aspect that like your anger has to be like coupled with some sort of fit of rage or like danger and like thing is something that I think a lot of men need to understand that it doesn't have to. And I think that I don't want to put the onus on any woman in a relationship to think that they have to train a man how to do that. I think that you need to do the work. And you can do the work in a relationship too. I don't necessarily, because I've said that too, and I think that I've dialed that back a little bit more. Like I don't think you necessarily need to come to a relationship with all the work done. I think you can be working on it while you're finding your love and all that kind of stuff and what you want out of a relationship. But I definitely don't think that the onus needs to be on women in any like capacity to do the work for you. And that's kind of how I'm interpreting that last question, at least, is that like what do women need to do to open space for that? I think it first starts with men being able to express anger and a range of other emotions, because we need to learn that too in a way that's pro-social.
No, very well said. Yeah, and I think that goes into like the core, because I think that's the real meat of this thing of like, yeah, are there differences or whatever, or does it change? Like, the main thing is, what is women's role in this? What is men's role in this? And I hardline stance, I think that, oh boy, in this situation, though it may be tough, I think it's like 90% on him to suck it up in this situation. Because I think you got to realize that, like, and I know I'm the, you know, yelling is abuse nigga on this particular topic, but I'm like, you got to realize, like, male anger or just anger from a person who's way bigger than you is like, that's a threat. That's a dangerous situation. That's not just an emotion. And if anger is one of your core parts of your emotion or parts of your identity, then you got to figure out how to make that palatable. Like, I know that sucks. And I don't realize that, like, the part in here, which is like you're another woman telling him that he needs to change to be accepted. It's like, yeah, that's what being an adult is. Like, you have to change in order to be accepted.
You
like,
have to
you're
change
grown.
to be
Yeah.
accepted.
Yeah,
You have to learn
well,
how to change.
But I think also one thing that is missing from a lot of men's lives is, I'm totally agreeing with y'all. Like, you know, because like a woman, it's not a woman's place to facilitate all of your anger and like your rage in a man's rage, because that's not cool. Because I would not say that just in
Or
a
vice versa,
level,
but yeah.
because that's yeah, exactly. That's not safe. That is not safe advice.
No.
To give to anybody.
Yep. Do not try and lion tame a nigga. That will end badly.
The thing with that is there's also a certain level of compassion that should be given to the person. And even coming from us, like giving this person advice, I think like we should have compassion instead of like, well, nigga, you just got to suck that shit up, because it's the same sort of programming that men already get. Well, no one cares about me. I'm having these emotions. I'm hurting inside, and no one cares. They're just telling me I should just suck it up. I should just deal with it. What do? That makes me even angrier.
Yeah.
I don't feel seen in those types of conversations and those types of interactions. If they're expressing anger, I'm very treading very lightly with this. If they're just expressing anger, try to give that person some compassion. Speak to them like softly. Hey, well, what's going on? Why are you upset? Just talk to me. Talk to me. It's okay. Like if they like physical touch, rub on their back. It's okay. What's going on? It's okay. Like, yeah, talk to me. You don't have to be like overly excessive, like run me them tears, nigga. But like just But we need to be given compassion and divine love. I want to say from a woman, but I mean, if you like, whatever energy you need it from, or whatever energy you want to get it from, like we need to be given that divine love from other people.
I 100% resonate with what you're saying, Josh. And the point that I was going to make is I'm very much let me take a step back. Let me take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1 type nigga before I engage like my significant other in anger, right? And that's been something that like has worked relatively well for me. But like I've spoken on this show before, is that when I speak on something that I'm upset about, or even like not even necessarily anger. Let's say like I'm sad, or like this hurt my feelings or something like that. I'm going to talk to you about it in a calm manner, because that's me trying to express my emotions in a pro-social way, right? I found that a lot of times, like because I'm not crying, because I'm not yelling, because I'm not in that situation, that a lot of times me expressing my emotion doesn't get a good response. And I've even said, and I've said this multiple times to significant others, but I've said it on the show, recounting those encounters, is that I've had to stop women and say, like, you would be reacting completely different to what I'm saying if I was crying. Like your response would be completely different if I was yelling. Mm-hmm. Because what I'm telling you is how I'm feeling, and because I'm saying it with a flat affect, and I'm trying to say it in a pro-social way, you're not responding in a way that shows that I need some emotional support. So I do think that there's a level of reciprocity and love that comes with the relationship, where you want to somewhat cater to a person's emotional state and listen to what they're saying, if they're saying it in a pro-social way. Because I don't think that a lot of people respond well when anger isn't like the stereotypical anger, when sadness isn't the stereotypical sadness, when fatigue, when exhaustion aren't the stereotypical expressions of those states. So I think there's room to grow on both parties in terms of recognition for that, even in its pro-social state. But that being said, if your anger, especially, I think anger is a special class. I think your anger 100% needs to be as tame and as calm as possible when you're a man, especially dealing with somebody that's, that could take that as a threat, because that's real.
Yeah, that's and because I think anger is because I kind of hear what you're saying, Josh, but I think I struggle to. Yeah, I think I struggle to agree on that one, because I'm not even just thinking about like just men. My energy would be pretty much nearly identical with women as well. I feel like anger is very different than the other emotions, like very different. I think it's a dangerous one because it flows into action. Like anger is the thing that makes people kill other people, that makes people slash people's tires and throw shit and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, other emotions are attached to it, but when it turns into anger from set, that's when dangerous shit happens. So if this was a conversation about, he's crying and his partner is not responding to it properly, then I would be saying, okay, that's more her responsibility. If it was him, moping or sulking because he's feeling depressed, then it'd be a very different one. But if he's like, and because she didn't get quite into the specifics here, but if you're angry and you're expressing anger and your partner shuts down and distances themselves from you in the expression of that emotion, but not others, the like rub his back and give him space. Yeah. I struggle to see that as the suggestion. I think that's like 90% on the person who's angry to present it in a way. Now, if he is already on some alpha shit and he already is presenting it in a way that is relatively palatable, but she just doesn't like that and won't, and just shuts off and doesn't want to engage with him being like, hey, look, that really upset me. I am angry about this. I really didn't like the way that you did this, and I'm angry about it, but he's done all of the little pieces around it, then okay, maybe it's a little bit more like that. But because we don't have specifics, I'm like, yeah, I'm just guessing off the average, and on the average, motherfuckers can be terrifying when they're angry. Men and women both, but men even perhaps even more so just because of the physical element. So I'm like, I'm not rubbing nobody's back. If you come at me crazy on anger, sorry, man, like you gotta deal with that. I'm not finna sit around here trying to help you regulate that one. Other ones, sure, not that one.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. Once again, that's why I say I'm treading very lightly on this because that anger, especially coming from a man when you're dealing with a woman, somebody's bigger, stronger than you, is just I can't blame anybody for like wanting to step back because it is scary. I have been angry in like situations, and that's why I can kind of sympathize with what he's saying in a sense because like deep down in my heart, like I have a good heart, but I be it's like sometimes it can come out as anger, and it's like just because I'm angry does not mean I'm going to like hurt you or be a threat to you, but I understand how that anger could come out that way and could be scary.
Yeah, and you don't know, or they don't know, I should say.
Yeah, I mean it's like, but you think that they should know, but those are two different things.
Of course.
But and the reason why I said that, the way in which somebody might pacify that anger, or not excusing their anger, not trying to work, not telling them that, hey, you need to get help. Like this anger does not have to be a part of your core identity. And if it is, I'm not about to stand around for it because Lord have mercy knows, if I was dealing with a woman who was angry as fuck like that all the time, hell no, I'm getting the fuck out because I'm not dealing with that. But in those instances where it's presenting itself to me, I'm going to try and act from a place of unconditional love, or just come from a place of love and remove my ego from it to try to pacify it and try to move them to the right direction. But if that's just a part of your identity is anger, I can't. Look, buddy, you got to get that taken care of.
Wild. Core is wild. And look, we do have permission.
Core emotional experience, right?
That's wild to me. Now look, we have permission from the patron, like, or she has expressed that she has permission from him to kind of express this. So like, we're not just talking to her, we're also talking to him. So something that you said earlier, I definitely am like trying to be cognizant of, like, I'm not interested in ragging on old boy, especially like you said, we're as a culture not really in the habit of supporting men through any of their emotions. So I get that. So I'm trying to rein it back a little bit. I struck anger is the way. If it was any other emotion, I'd be feeling like I'd have a lot more. It's that anger. Yeah. If it was a different emotion, I'd have a lot more. Yeah.
My thing is like there hasn't been, per the information that's been shared with me, anything saying that he's been physically violent. I think that somebody saying that emotion like anger, like, and I'm assuming varying degrees of intensity, but still anger being their core emotional experience, I think that that's the situation that's perfect and textbook for therapy. I think that's the point where like you need to start doing that level of work, because what happens when you do a lot of this, I'm thinking CBT kind of work, is that you're actually seeking to change like those core beliefs that lead to those outward expressions that may be impacting like your relationships, right? So I would say like that's like, as much as your situation, and your resources like allow, I'd say therapy is the way to go when anger is such a core, intense part of your emotional experience to the point where it's impacting your interpersonal relationships, and it appears not even just like your intimate ones, also your friendships as well, potentially.
Thank you. Because I feel like I was really struggling to bridge that gap of like empathy towards old boy, and I think that was the missing bit of like, it's not just fuck you, it's not just you need to figure it out. This might be a place where specifically CBT, for instance, therapy might really help. Like, cool, maybe you have to figure out a way to express this emotion, which is a valid emotion, but it's like worth asking the question, why is that one core? Why is anger the thing that you're feeling in response to your reality? And maybe your reality is one that inspires anger, which is totally reasonable. Maybe it's a lot of shit in your life to be angry about. That might be worth exploring.
Someone who I can kind of relate. I can kind of relate to him a little bit. It sounds to me like, once again, like Alvin said, like therapy is a fantastic, phenomenal place to start here. But like, where's that anger coming from? Like, why are you so angry? Like, and I guarantee you, he's not that angry about a lot of the shit that's going on like present day. But it's some deep rooted stuff that happened to him long time ago, probably, that it was just never resolved, processed, worked through. But it's some shit that's going on within him internally. And I mean, I don't want to put emotions on this person, but I know with me, a lot of the times it originates from being sad, feeling unheard, feeling unseen, not feeling like you can express yourself or talk about whatever it is that might have happened, or like just whatever unresolved things over years and years and years. And as things keep compiling, you just continue to get angry or sadder, and then that just leads into just anger. And then like when things happen in your adult life, you just kind of, it's like you're still at that little boy who's hurt, that's trying to stand up for himself, saying, I'm not gonna take this shit no more. I'm tired of being ran through or whatever. Like, I'm tired of being run over. Like, I'm not gonna take this shit no more. And it's just anger's like, whoa, what the fuck? Like,
right? It's years. He not even talking.
The cheeseburger didn't have cheese on it. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, I thought you liked when I used the microwave. Motherfucker, oh shit, what the yeah. But yeah, it's the fury of death by 1,000 cuts. It's the fury of 1,000 suns from the past. Like, he's not even yelling at you. He's yelling at his boss. He's yelling at his dad. He's yelling at his sister, brother, all that kind of shit all together. But to answer her question about should women be expected to hold space for that anger and to what extent, I think where I'm resting on this is no. Then no, you don't. And to a very minimal extent, I would say, especially because the word that she uses later is there a healthier way to vent and express rather than explode? Yeah. I think the fact that she used the word explode there, and like Alvin, you said, reading this, we don't have any indication of physical violence, et cetera, et cetera. I think the thing that I'm like looking at is, on average, the average person, but male specifically, when I read this, I'm making some assumptions based on just the average that maybe not physical, but that there's a certain way of expressing, of yelling, of vocal tone that if I had to guess, is probably not appropriate. Just if I had to guess on average.
He's crossing lines.
I think he's crossing lines. I think if that conversation is happening like this, the average guy is not the average person, but the average guy is not going like, you know what, I was actually really angry about that, and then his girl is shutting down. Like, I don't, especially if he's talking like this. He's not in therapy. He maybe doesn't have all the words for you. If you're listening to this, like, you maybe don't have all the words. Just guessing. Though I'm curious if you end up engaging with this after watching it, feel free to let us know more stuff. I'm assuming it's probably not well curated therapy, emotionally regulated anger. That's the problem here. I don't think that's what's going on here. And I would say in that situation, women have again, anybody, because women can also be dangerously angry towards men as well. You don't have any responsibility, I think, to hold space for that kind of anger if we're talking about explosions. I think that you have space, maybe you have space to once or twice talk to your partner about being willing to seek therapy, or, therapy is expensive, but, figure out some way to express themselves differently. But I think beyond that, no. So then the advice to him is, I think you got to figure out a different way to approach it. Yeah.
And from three niggas who are on the same page, that's not really an acceptable fashion of communication. Like just to jump to is like anger and then like snapping and yelling and blowing up on your partner. Because if the roles were reversed, if she was doing that shit to you, you wouldn't like that. Like
you would not.
That shit, it's not cool. But some people are attracted to that sort of crazy shit. But
sure.
I'm guessing that's going to be a whole other thing. But
some women like angry niggas too. That's a thing. But
yeah, that's the thing. But
your lady obviously doesn't. Yeah. So
and one thing I know for sure, because he know he wrong for this. Like on some level, like he know he wrong from this, from like some of the stuff that he said, because he's admitted that it's caused a rift in their relationship. And if you got somebody good, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, if that relationship was to end, and you love that girl and she didn't do nothing wrong to you, you're gonna be looking at yourself like, I fucked up. I fucked up that relationship because I kept blowing up on her.
Yeah. You got to figure out a way to, because therapy ain't always necessarily accessible. You got to figure out a way to take a breath, come back to it, table it, and go.
I promise it helps.
I
promise it helps.
Here's the thing that I want to talk about. Yeah, I'm not like, cool, I'm angry right now. Let's talk about it in 15. Like, we don't got to talk about it right when I'm feeling the peak of my emotion. Let's talk about it tomorrow even. Like, I think that's probably, take a breath, talk about it later. Like, if you're talking about it right when you're in the emotion, when you're, because that shit can warp your even sense of what the fuck is going on, especially if it's stuff about the relationship. I think it can be a little bit like I think your person being like angry and maybe even like borderline scary, I think is a little bit less dangerous if it's not about shit in the relationship. Because she did make that statement that sometimes he's mad about shit that don't have to do with the relationship. I think there's a little bit more space to be like, okay, I get it, you're angry about your boss and that kind of thing. When it's when it's about the relationship, nah, you gotta table that, talk about it tomorrow.
I make a point to not make my anger at like other people, at like other situations in my life, anybody else's problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I know it's hard, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at it because I 100% I'm not, but like that's the goal I strive for. You know what I mean? Like I try to.
I don't know if that's necessarily. Yeah, I'm not 100% on this, so welcome to pushback. But I'm not 100% sure that that's necessarily the standard that others should aim for. Because if I'm understanding what you said just then, I think that it is pretty normal to make your emotions other people's that you care about problem to an extent. I mean, within reason. I think that's reasonable.
I think there's a huge gap between what's normal and what's pro-social, because as we've discussed throughout this entire segment.
Sorry to cut you. Just to clarify, like, because this is a what I meant versus what I said thing. Replace in the statement pro-social, where I said normal. Healthy is what I mean.
And I would say no. I think that making it their problem is a little bit different than like talking to them about it, having them talk through it with you. Like, I don't think that's making it their problem. Okay. I think that's having a pro-social conversation about your emotion. I think making it their problem is coming in and then all of a sudden you're yelling at your person because you're mad at your boss. Right. And you're like fucking throwing shit because you know what I'm saying? I think those are two different ways of seeing it, and I'm open to pushback on viewing it in that dichotomy as well. But the one thing I did want to say before we ended this is that a while ago a listener reached out to me and talked to me about emotional range, and hopefully they're listening now. But like, I do think that men do this thing where they limit themselves in how they express their emotion to like happy, sad, angry. You know what I mean? And like, there's such a plethora of emotion if you explore and you really look at how things really are. Yeah, and like you actually like realize like how it's making you feel. You can actually get to the core of why you're feeling that way and what's making you feel these individualized emotions. But if you kind of jam everything together, it makes it very difficult to kind of tease out the nuances of why you're feeling what you're feeling, because you're not even fully exploring what you feel. So I do think that men need to realize as a whole, like as a conglomerate, that like we have more than three emotions. Explore that a little bit within yourselves, and I think that we'll all be a little bit better off by that particular level of exploration.
And just like when we was on Foreign's podcast, we have to start with ourselves to give each other like the space to express those emotions.
Oh, man to man.
Yeah, man to man, like just boys, from young boys to men. Like, we have to kind of get ourselves together in that first to make it acceptable for us to express like all these different ranges of emotions outside of anger, sadness, happiness or whatever.
Yeah, true. Because I'm like looking at this situation, I'm like, a lot of that like in relationship anger, a lot of that is like you don't feel respected by your partner. You don't feel loved by your partner. You don't feel heard by your partner. You feel jealous or insecure that you might lose your partner. You feel anxious about your partner, the status of the relationship. There's a whole bunch of like little different versions of things that are going on, that it's not just I'm mad. It's way more than that. You're experiencing and if you can express those things, like I'm experiencing anger, but it's specifically because I feel like you don't view me as someone to be respected, or I don't feel. It can even feel like I don't feel manly in the way that you relate to me. I don't feel heard. I feel like you don't like you don't value me, like you don't want me, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. And I feel like that's where a lot of them type of emotions sort of come from. So yeah, range. What?
Because you're absolutely right. That was one relationship I was in where things weren't great, and I'm trying in the relationship to like try to get things on the right track, but nothing is working. And even with communication just falling through. We're not like arguing, like we're not like yelling at each other or nothing like that, but it's just things aren't going great, right? one night, me and my friend got up, and he's also going through shit with his girl.
Oh.
And it's two upset niggas.
Two angry motherfuckers.
Playing drinks and playing pool. And let
Women
me tell
these
you, when I
days.
came home, when I came back home, I was upset.
You
I was
had,
like, you know what? It's time to have a conversation.
Ammo.
And that was the worst fucking conversation. Like that was actually when I when I was talking about like the issues, anger, like the emotion of anger did come up. But it's not like I'm gonna hurt, but it's like I'm angry that we're against each other, but then also just through that emotion of anger, like I'm saying shit that I will later regret that I didn't even mean. But in that time, I'm on the sauce from this conversation with one of my homeboys.
Yeah, tequila talk.
And yeah, like nothing was ever the same after that.
Yeah, no. So what were you angry about? If it's something you can speak on, fine.
I'm not about to get into it, but that's what happened.
Yeah, okay. Even that was like low key a little bit spicy. Okay, fair enough.
I can't. Oh, jeez, no matter what I do, it's my fault.
It's flashbacks, man. There's flashbacks to the situation.
Because you didn't say, "Oh, I'd rather not." You were just like, "We're not getting into it." I was like, "Oh, fuck, all right, my fault."
I didn't say that for, but no,
you didn't say that.
I don't want to. I don't want to dig all that up.
No, of course. You should.
Yeah.
It just was a little bit funny. Yeah. All right. Cool. It's pretty much the end, but I want to get one more thing just so we have a body count. Rex Orange County. Who the women wear
Rex Orange County.
I want to talk about this one. It feels very topical and relevant.
That's so weird.
Yeah. I
know a lot of people out there probably don't even know who the hell Rex Orange County is. But I could never see. Or did you want to introduce it?
Oh, yeah. So because I didn't listen to much of his music, but I kind of heard about this like maybe 6 months back or something like that. So Rex Orange County musician, he was charged in the UK for 6 counts of sexual assault, which sounds crazy, but it sounds like, oh fuck, like 6 different accused. But to clarify, that's to me seems like a bit of a sensational headline. But this was one person accused who pressed charges for 6 different charges of sexual assault, all happening within the same night, I think, on multiple. So it was like an inappropriate touch here, an inappropriate touch there, and those together constituted 6 charges. Just recently, he's made a statement that he's been cleared of those charges as a result of CCTV evidence and testimony of the accuser. Is accuser the right word? Is that the right word we're supposed to use? But the accuser's partner. Okay, the accuser's partner. Their testimony, those 2 things together did not line up with her recounting of events. But Rex was like low key, like just canceled off of this for a while, and like lots of fans were very disappointed and were just like, man, like that was a good one. Again, I wasn't much of a fan, didn't know much about it, but it did strike me as a very, very interesting case, especially in the current climate.
They also had actual video that it didn't add up. Like we're not seeing what you said happened here. But that's so weird because I'm not like a super fan, but I know of him.
But you know him,
his work with Tyler the Creator, and he got a song called Sunflower too. That's pretty great.
Okay.
But just him as a person, when I saw that headline, was like,
what?
Him of all people?
Yeah.
Bro, I heard that nigga do a concert one time, and when I heard his speaking voice, I was embarrassed. I got secondhand embarrassment.
Oh, it just didn't have no bass to it.
He was like, hello everybody, gonna be doing a song tonight. I was like, is that how that nigga sound for real? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be performing Sunflower. And like, I got this girl, she's the love of my life, but things didn't work out. And, you know what I'm saying? I was just like,
you sound like a Saturday morning cartoon character, like Snoopy here. Oh, hi guys, I'm just
hello
me.
everybody. Hello everybody. I was like, what? That's how he sounds, but he just seems like an incredibly like he just really seems like one of those guys that would
never
be so far out of character.
It's difficult, man, because it's like that means something, but it don't mean everything. You know what I'm saying? Like that is evidence in and of itself. It often is the motherfuckers you wouldn't expect, or it can be, not often, but it can be.
It can be, absolutely.
So because also I don't want to speak on this like too like because what it looks like is this is a confirmed type of false allegation type of situation, but we also don't have all of the evidence on it. We haven't seen the CCTV footage. We've only seen him recounting the relationship that the CCTV footage had to the case being dismissed. So, like, do we have the video? Because if we don't, that could mean a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
Course, but check this out though. Like, but the actual chart, well, from that video, said that the sexual, what was it? Sexual assault was him touching her arm, back. I think it might have been like the neck, but and maybe like one other like body part. And if they have like a video and they're saying, well, we can't charge him on any of those, and based off of the witness account, it sounds like, nigga, it sounds like it might be safer to assume that the nigga might actually be innocent.
Yeah, no,
and I'm not taking it away of anything from women out there suffering from any assault. I don't like. I'm not saying that to say like, oh, he definitely still did it because any man ever accused definitely did. Like, I'm not saying that necessarily. I know, not you.
Yeah, but yeah, you know what? On this video that we're looking at, I forget it was. Well, maybe I'll put the creator's name, but she. But kind of this. I think the top comment on it for me was like maybe made the most sense to me. And someone was just like, we need a little bit of nuance in this conversation. I said, I think that they said something like, we need to kind of add some nuance to the believe all victims things and rephrase it as stop disbelieving victims. And I thought that made a lot of sense. That it's not necessarily about going every single one is by itself constitutes a guilty verdict and we can put a person in prison off of that, but going not entering it into it with the assumption that this person must be lying, that this person must have done something to deserve this, those kinds of things. And then I think someone also said that there's a little bit of a conversation to be had about decoupling, where you go, well, we should be supporting victims, but that is not necessarily the same as trying and prosecuting a person just off that by itself and going, this person needs to go to prison, this person needs to be canceled, etc., etc. You can kind of hold both to some extent and go like, cool, let's support this person, let's not lead with disbelief, but we don't need to just assume the accused prison job done, fuck all that immediately without some evidence being collected or thought about.
So we're talking about feelings here, so I'm gonna say exactly how I feel, and I'm not saying this for you two, because I know you two, and I know that this is never the angle that you're coming at something from, but I'm in current state. I'm kind of sick of having that conversation. Just being frank, because when you look at on the low end of women that are victims of sexual assault, the low end, and this is every woman, it's like 25% experience sexual assault that's probably like prosecutable, and it doesn't get prosecuted. The backlog of rape kits, the amount of people that like have decent evidence that get off on technicalities, because newsflash, the judicial system, which we should all know as black men, is not fair to women either in sexual assault cases in this situation. The fact that, like, again, we don't have great studies on it, but the studies that we do have say that by and large, you know, women don't lie about this. Like, it's somewhere between 4 and 10%. So 90% at the worst are telling the truth. So like, when you look at the imbalance of how this impacts women all the time, every day, and for us to talk about the 4 cases that we probably can, you know, pull out of Twitter every time this shit happens, and to make it some kind of fucking crusade about, oh, we need to not, you know, we gotta support victims, but we can't, you know, disbelieve. Like, I just think that in the grand scheme of things, in the scale of like what we need to be focused on, like, I think that that's a dumb conversation, just being frank. And again, I know that's not where you two are coming from, because I know you, But I'm just saying that, like, in the zeitgeist of where this conversation goes, like, come on, bro. Like, that's a drop in the bucket. That's a drop in the bucket, man.
You know, I think I'm happy to take that on the chin. Like I know you're saying that you're not saying it, but I'm like, that is kind of what we're talking about. And that is kind of, so I'm happy to take responsibility and even just engage with that as if you are saying it to us, unless you think that's unfair. I guess my question there is, how do you, because that is very fair, and I've made a similar stand, which is like we're focusing on a little tiny thing and acting like that's the, you know, we acting like the cream is the coffee. It's like, nope, that's not the issue here. How do you reconcile that with this particular thing? Like, applying what you just said to this particular headline, how do you view that? Is it, we probably just shouldn't even talk about it. Like, this is just, sometimes shit like this happens and that's just what it is. And we need to be focusing on the other 99 women who it was a cut and dry case. Or what do you think?
Let's say, and bear with me here,
All right.
and feel free to tell me that this is bullshit, which I'm pretty sure Eddie's going to. Let's say I'm in the kitchen cooking, right? And all of a sudden I have a heart attack. And I trip and fall, and I knock over, you know, the water that I'm boiling to cook my pasta or whatever. And I get a burn on my leg, right?
Okay.
Eventually, the doctor should probably look at my leg. I probably got like second-degree burns or some shit. That probably needs some attention. When they're triaging me, they're going to be focused on my heart attack. So I think that ultimately, from a societal structural standpoint, eventually, my hope is that we get to a point where we talk about cases like this and like that should be front page news. Right now we don't. Now if I'm talking to Rex Orange County like specifically, and that was my structural review, now bringing it more to individualistic stuff, then yeah, I'm kind of like, man, stuff happens. Like, you know, if it's truly a false allegation, I hope your career rebounds, but like making that the topic is kind of just like, I'm worried about the heart attack, man. Like, the heart attack is my first triage.
No, I'm not. I can't call bullshit on that, because I mean, that's, yeah. I think that's a logically, I don't know if I agree, but I think that's a logically sound thing, because triage is something that happens when there's like an emergency, which fair enough, this situation is, but it's also a thing that happens when you have limited resource, which also fair, we do. But to apply your analogy, I feel like it's not unreasonable for a person to say, hey, look, while we're tending to his heart, somebody does need to actually wrap up his leg. Because even if we get this heart situation sorted, if his leg gets infected, he's finna die anyway. So it wouldn't be entirely uncommon for both things to be somewhat addressed, even if one is of lower priority.
Yeah.
To use your analogy. But to support the logic of what you're saying, if you said, hey, look, we got limited resources, we got limited staff, fuck the leg, we got to cut it off if necessary. I think that's also that is a not unreasonable stance. Now, I don't know if I agree, but it makes sense. And
I will say that, like, I think that the leg is wrapped in this individualistic case. Structurally, probably not. In this individual case, I think the leg is wrapped because, again, assuming that this is actually a false allegation, he wasn't convicted. Like, he's not in jail.
The leg ain't wrapped. The leg
is wrapped. The skin ain't healed. I mean, maybe he needs some grafts.
Okay.
I hope he gets some grafts.
I
hope he gets some ointment on it.
Yeah.
No, the skin ain't healed, but it's wrapped. You know, like his leg has a bandage on it. It's not healed. It's not treated. It hasn't been, 100%, cleared for recovery.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. But yeah, wrapped ain't enough. Then I should say, if we like it, yeah. Wrapped ain't enough, because you're right. You can just wrap a leg. You'll still lose the leg and die if antibiotics aren't used, if a graft doesn't happen, if those things aren't happening. It's like, this motherfucker. Yeah, he's innocent, but motherfuckers will again, assuming that it actually even is, because the evidence doesn't make it 100% that this was a false allegation. It just means that the evidence didn't match up enough to be able to prosecute the case. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was just straight 100% innocent. If it is that situation. Yeah. Oh, okay. If it is that, what's that shit? It's that SpongeBob shit. I'm trying to think. Hoopla! Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Hoopla!
Hoopla! In that situation, people will still think he's guilty. if again we're assuming that there's a situation where he is not, he'll still have to climb back up professionally, and he's lost a bunch of time to this. So, and I know that obviously the thing, and tons of money, and future
not
earnings.
not even like just like earnings, but like he had to pay an attorney. You know what I mean? So like that kind of stuff.
So
like directly, he lost money.
Leg wrapped, leg is not treated. Leg is wrapped. It's not treated. But I understand, like, just to preempt, people are of course reasonably going to be like, well, yeah, fuck, but other people are out here like women's lives are being ruined by obviously being like that's. If you had to choose one, you'd probably choose to be Rex Orange County. So that's fair. Though those two things aren't necessarily they're structurally in opposition, but not necessarily individually in opposition to one another.
Individually, you like to fix both cases. Individually, and I don't know if I would consider that structurally. I don't know if I want to consider that a structural defect.
What?
But individually, for those individuals, you like to fix the structural issue and the individual issues. You like for everybody to be able to work this out. But
yeah, and what I was getting at is that like I do understand that from looking at it structurally, trying to fix Rex Orange County's problem is structurally in opposition to fixing the problem of the 25% of women who are those two things are there's a zero sum characteristic
at the low end. That's a low end.
Yeah.
Set.
Okay.
I will say, I totally agree with you, Alvin. That was chef's kiss. My only thing is that I be having like an issue with is like the whole court of public opinion, and just all the speculation and just the immediate, he's innocent, they're guilty. Like I knew they were a bad person. Like all of that shit, because it's like, I mean. Even with us, like everybody has said some completely dumbass, wrong ass shit about each and every single one of us three off of one thing they thought they heard us say, and just taking it completely out of context. And that shit can happen to anybody. I mean, anybody can fall on the negative end of that, and that's what I really don't care for. And it's not even like a thing of like fuck the victim or nothing like that. Like nah, like just if you're a victim of some shit, pray to God you get justice. It's just like this whole court of public opinion and all this chatter and all this extra nonsense around it is what I could kind of do without. And that's very difficult.
Because also, I mean, the court of public opinion is, I think it's a thing we haven't quite figured out what it's going to be, but I think it has value because we understand that like the what's that called? The court of law or whatever doesn't all
the court of
the court.
Oh shit, that nigga went to jail through it.
And what's crazy is like this nigga Eddie was in his mode. Like you just know he was finna say some hot shit before this nigga said court of court. You just knew that nigga was finna go in.
Right. I was gonna let it slide, but when you laughed,
tie my shoelaces together at the start line, like, oh fuck. That court systems don't necessarily like hit everything, and even if you get a guilty verdict, that doesn't necessarily mean that justice will happen. But when you make somebody's pocket hurt, that's where you can get some semblance of justice. Of like, yeah, okay, no, wait a second, you hurt some people, you're not gonna make these Spotify dollars, you're not gonna get that Netflix show. Like, we will stand in the way of that happening. I think that there's value to that. I mean, I think we haven't figured out exactly what that's going to look like because I think cancel culture is relatively new, and it's like people are trying to destroy folks' whole career over like a tweet, you know what I mean, that was made a decade ago and stuff like that. That does happen, but I don't think I think that there's something reasonable to it. Of being like, look, yeah, maybe the court said that you were guilty, but you got 6 months. How about no? We don't want to have a rapist, heading this Netflix show. Maybe how about that as part of your punishment? That it's not just social. And I think that we have this whole like innocent until proven guilty thing, and that only applies in court, not like in the court of public opinion, because we haven't really developed an etiquette around that yet. But maybe I don't know.
No, that's not true, because there's been plenty of people who have been just accused of some shit, and if a lot of people are saying, I can't believe, like if it's a lot of backlash, because just think of public backlash.
Okay.
It's been plenty of people who's lost their jobs just off of backlash, and not even being convicted of something, but just having a brand, having their name attached to somebody is just causing so much.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We got to separate. So, but yeah.
No.
That
So
was my
what?
only contingency.
What I was saying is that the innocent until proven guilty bit doesn't yet apply to the court of public opinion, but perhaps it should.
Oh.
So meaning like what you just said, like as of now you can be not yet, but if the court of public opinion says you might be different, you might lose your job, you might, et cetera, et cetera. But I think there's value to it. I'm not sure. Man.
Yeah, but there was one line in this tweet from that Rex Orange County video that I thought was a bar.
Okay.
It said, "Justice is supposed to be blind, not cruel."
You know what? I think I strongly agree with that. I think that's a difficult thing to it's a difficult thing to try and be compassionate towards people who have done something, who either have or seem to have done something terrible. But I think that's an important part of the conversation. Like we talked about with prison reform and all that kind of shit.
Like I said, part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because I mean, especially if it's simply just speculation. Because anybody could fall victim to speculation, and that shit could be totally false.
Yeah.
Like that's and
know.
especially if you got a platform, especially if it becomes popular, somebody could say some bullshit about you and it'd be totally false. But
and then that's it, yeah. But I mean, fuck, I really don't know because I 100% get where Alvin is coming from because there was that tweet from like a few years ago. Woman said like if a few innocent men have to go to prison or get canceled for this Me Too shit, I'm okay with that. And people were like tearing her up, but I'm like, I mean, it's not an illogical stance. It's not an illogical stance at all. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, but it's like Alvin's point is it make a lot of sense, which is like, yeah, I mean, for every one Rex Orange County, if this even is what it appears to be, a false allegation of a thing that did not happen and was over prosecuted and was represented in headlines as 6 accusers when it was actually just 6 individual acts that really, I mean, that even honestly, low-key, from what I'm being told this thing was, that sounds like one act of sexual assault. I don't know. That don't like counting an elbow separately from a neck sounds to me wild. I don't know if that's crazy to say. That doesn't seem
like each body part got its own sexual assault.
Yeah, that seems strange to me. That seems very strange.
I mean, with
to
the whole Tory Meg thing, like if they convicted him on all 3, I thought especially if they had video, it seemed like that's a very easy. Like, okay, did he touch you here? Did he touch you here? Did he touch you there? But I mean, hey, man.
Oh, right. So each one was individual. So yeah. I mean, it could have happened anywhere.
Like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, maybe they just didn't have video of where it actually did happen. I don't know.
And you go, that's evidence. But yeah, but with that said, for every one of these situations is literally thousands of other situations. So
for sure,
are we going to throw those out in service of trying to protect these? I don't know, but I understand where Alvin's coming from, where he says like, no, sorry, Rex, sometimes shit like this happens, but that's just scary. But I mean, fuck, the constant and very likely threat of sexual assault and rape that people experience daily, that's terrifying. So don't know what to say there. Well, yeah, I think that's it then. I think that's the day. Any closing remarks, guys?
Did you cut your hair?
No,
yeah,
let me say that.
It looks kind of different. Is it a ponytail?
No, it's pulled back. It's just pulled back, guys. Jesus,
it looks different. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
No,
okay. Cool.
Just aging. That's all.
Nah.
How about you?
Not dead ass though.
Is that Waves album? You got Waves? Okay.
Thank you for noticing. I've been working on them. Been putting.
You got the eyebrows arched, didn't you? Okay.
Yeah. 100%. Arched and waxed and threaded. You know.
Yeah, I said you got the cheeks waxed, didn't you? I like it. I like it. Cucumber down with the eyes. It's sexy.
100%.
No. Well, all right, folks.
I'm waiting for Eddie's hair to come in the mail, so next couple podcasts you will see your boy Josh
so glow
with the beard and the long Eddie here.
That's
coming to a pod near you.
We're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a lot of fans, and we don't know what to deal with if you get like that. It's gonna be overrun. It's gonna be overrun in these comment sections.
I get shivers thinking about the shit, cuz.
Oh my goodness, Jesus Christ. Well, look. On that note, that's the pod. You know what I'm saying? And if you see your partner expressing anger in a way that makes you feel unsafe, you might be seeing a red flag. But at the same time, if you're expressing anger in a way that makes your partner feel unsafe, It might be you that's waving a red flag. It's been Waving a Red Flag podcast. It's been Eddie. It's been AB. It's been Josh. We'll see y'all next week. If you want to join us before every episode, like live, to chop it up with us, to ask us questions like the one that we answered today, hop on Patreon or the YouTube members section. Like, subscribe, let us know what you think. Hit the notification bell so you see when we get have the video out. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace, peace. That's it. That's the show. Go to bed. Oh my God.
We need like a sound bite for Alvin.
That's what I'm saying. We need
Or would that just be silence?
at once.
Crickets to
Could be
signify
crickets.
the silence. Alvin, how do you feel about crickets?
I think they're cool creatures.
He likes it. That's what it means.
I think maybe a
I'm
sound
good at
bite
reading
is.
people.
So Alvin, what do you feel? I do not. I think that might be it.
I
don't know.
think that is something, right? Like that is from something. Like there's something that could be pulled for that. I think.
Yeah, I think you said something like that. That's something.
Is that like RoboCop? I think that's RoboCop.
Ah, we could do RoboCop. Maybe RoboCop. Yeah.
I'm like 70% sure that exact situation happened in RoboCop.
Let me see. How do you feel? I do not. Yeah, can't find it. Well, anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and cut this recording.
It's a red flag.